Hi, friends. Welcome to the podcast, Standing on the Ramparts. I'm Faith Fortuin, and I'm so glad you're here. This is our space to talk about faith, purpose, and taking your place in this generation, right here, right now. Thanks for joining. Welcome back to Standing on the Ramparts. It's been a while, and tonight we are in my house. The last episode we were in Matthijs's house. So thanks for joining us again tonight on Standing on the Ramparts.
Yes, it's great to be back. It's amazing. And tonight we are having a good conversation on a topic that is very close to my heart. It's a topic on mentorship, discipleship, and purpose. So, and we're looking at our next generation. So it's not just for ministry. I know these topics come up a lot in ministry, but this is for life. Because if we are honest, then many of us, we are asking the same question. Are we preparing our young people to last, or are we just preparing them to launch?
Yes, and I think in the generation that we are in today, it is critical that this conversation happens. And to me, this episode was birthed through a dream that I got. I dreamed that a baby was crying, right? The baby was crying and nobody attended to this baby. And I started asking, where is this baby's mother? Because why is nobody attending to the baby? And then somebody came and brought the baby's mother. And when the person brought the baby's mother, so the baby that cried was 6 months old. And the mother that they brought in was a 3-month-old baby. And the 3-month-old baby then breastfeeded the 6-month-old baby. And to me, I am not going to say I'm a dreamer. I'm not a person that dreams, but that really stuck with me in terms of, and to me, it really was, the dream stuck with me. I remembered everything of the dream, and it's like, that's when God asked me, are babies feeding babies? Are we attending to our next generation? Are we looking after our next generation? So that's how this episode was birthed in terms of mentorship.
Yes.
And I started thinking of mentorship. Where am I currently mentoring somebody?
Yeah, it's quite an image you got there. I hope you went to David to ask him to unfold this dream for you. But the Bible speaks a lot on spiritual maturity.
Yes.
And I think that mentorship is in that spiritual maturity.
Yes, the Bible talks about spiritual maturity, and in Hebrews it mentions that there were believers who were supposed to be already on solid food, but they were still drinking milk. They were still on milk, and those believers were already supposed to already be able to teach others. But because they were still on milk, they could not taught anybody else. Yes. And this to me is that thing of, it's not, and the thing is, it's not like being on milk is bad. It's not like, because we all started with milk. And if you're still in the milk phase, it's fine to be still in the milk phase. But when we're in the milk phase, we should not we should not then go forward and teach, go forward and mentor somebody else or go forward and launch a platform or something.
Well, when you just said that now, the image that comes to my mind is social media, launching a platform. I mean, there's 7-year-olds launching platforms, teaching people stuff, guiding their peer groups.
Yes.
I've been through life and life is difficult. I just want to let you guys know how to handle with stress.
Yes.
And I'm 7 years old.
And I'm 7 years old, babies feeding babies.
Yeah.
Literally my dream. What you're talking about now. So yes, so that is...
Yeah, so the problem is babies feeding babies. A young generation feeding a young generation. What will be the solution to this problem? Because I know there is older people, but I also know that a certain generation didn't necessarily step up. When you look around, the mentorship isn't there, the capacity, mental capacity maybe isn't there or wasn't there for a few generations. And what is the solution today?
The solution is still mentorship. The solution is still mentorship, that we, as the disciples of today, we need to mentor the next generation, right? Because, and like you're saying, there's not, like, people are not eager to mentor. Some people are not eager to mentor. So it is difficult. Even if you go and you want to go ask somebody to mentor you, that person might say no, but I think that it is dependent on us. And it comes from the young generation to want to be mentored, right? And when we look in the Bible, there are numerous examples of great leaders who was mentored before. When I look at Joshua and Moses, when we look into Joshua 1, before Joshua 1, where Joshua is taking now the Israelites into the promised land, there was Moses, right? And when you go look throughout, I went to go look in scripture, where was Joshua before Joshua 1? And when in Exodus 24 verse 13 is where then Moses set out with Joshua his aide. And this is where, where Joshua was still Moses' assistant, right? And before he was a leader, he was a servant. He served Moses.
Yeah.
He walked alongside Moses, right? So sometimes God prepares us in leadership through service before He entrusts you with that leadership role or leadership position. And Joshua was in Exodus 17. And this is when the Israelites went to go and fight against the Amalekites. And Moses told Joshua that, Joshua, you go and you lead the army, and I will stand. And Moses was the one that was, that time when Moses held his hand up, right? He stood on the hill with the staff of God, right? So Joshua was there. Joshua was not yet the leader. Moses was still alive, and Moses was the leader. So in the Bible, throughout the Bible, you get these examples. Joshua was in Exodus 33 when Moses was in the tent of meeting. Moses went to meet with God, and Joshua was there. And while Moses was meeting after Moses left, he left the tent, he was finished in the presence of God, Joshua stayed in the presence of God. So in Joshua 1, that's not the first time that Joshua was not just launched as a leader. Joshua walked alongside Moses and learned from Moses for years before he came into leadership. And Joshua was also one of the 10, one of the 12, that went into the promised land to go and when they were the spies, to go check out the promised land. He was one of the 12, and when the 10 came back and say, we can't go, those people are going to kill us, we can't fight them, they are giants, we can't fight them. And Joshua and Caleb came back and said, we can do this.
We can do this.
We can do this. And so before Joshua won, there was all these times where you can see where Joshua was alongside Moses, where he was learning from Moses, he was serving Moses. This is where growth happened for him. He was. This is where Moses encouraged him and corrected him, and all those things before he came into leadership.
What will you say if we're looking at our generation, and you said something about the younger generation needs to hear, needs to know about the importance of mentorship and needs to know so that they will be wanting to be mentored. How does that happen? Because I know in my own life, I'm not even sure how it happened. I knew there's something more. I knew there's something better, a better pathway to follow. And I identified a few people in my life as the years went by, and they mentored me. I walked a path with them, and I still walk a path with them. But not everybody comes to that conclusion that I need to be mentored. I need to be trained in a certain pathway to think a certain, not to just be mind flushed or washed, but there's a better way to think than where you are. But not everybody gets that awakening.
I think for me, I think there comes a person grows into that, right? Because if you are serious about the direction you want to go, whether it is ministry or whether it is not ministry, whether you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or anything else, right? If you know that I want to be better in this trade or in this industry that I'm going into, then the one of the things that you can do is to be mentored by somebody who is the best in that trade, or somebody who has walked this path before you. So I think even though it's something you don't feel like doing, it's something that you have to make a decision on. Yes. I have to do this, whether I feel like it or whether I don't feel like it. I don't like people. I don't like to connect with people. This is something, if you are serious about the trade that you are going in, then one of the things that you can do to be to ensure success, right? I would say it is to make the decision. No matter how you feel, make the decision to be mentored.
Yes, so I get it in the music industry, or a doctor or a teacher. You get someone who has a few years on you, and you ask them to mentor me, to help me to be better. But I'm just talking about normal life, family mentors, dad mentors, father figures, mother figures. Not everybody realizes there's a need for that, because they are in this environment that there isn't better. They don't know better. So where do they see better? Where do they get to the point that they realize, wow, I actually need to be mentored?
Yeah. I do think that, and especially in the way you would describe in that setup of family and things, and there's no place where you can say that I can be mentored, right? The thing is, even if your circumstances, I would say, even if the circumstances don't look like I can be mentored, and I think in a family setup, mentoring happens without we saying it's happening. Right? Because a father, a mother, whatever they do and how they raise their children, they're mentoring their children.
So it can either be negative mentoring.
It can be negative or it can be positive. And if you are in an environment where you see that this environment is not conducive for where I want to go to, right? Then I would say find a window. Find a place, go to a place, and I would also speak to the people who are, like I grew up, right? I grew up in a neighborhood that people will call a underprivileged neighborhood, right? And in my neighborhood, the things that were very, the people or as a young person growing up in my neighborhood, the chances that you will make it out of the neighborhood is difficult if you are not like making a decision that this is not where I always want to be.
Yes.
Right? I want better. I want better for myself. I want better for my future. I want better for my family, that type of thing. So you're going to have to make a conscious decision and look for a window. And even people that see children with potential that are in an environment or like that, if they can just even if it's a word, even if it's just show the child there's a window. Can you see outside this window? Can you see there is better than where you are, and try to move towards that. I always believe that my mom was a person who always took us, people growing up in Cape Town did not necessarily, and especially now in the neighborhoods that I grew up, and I grew up in a few neighborhoods, they did not necessarily go to Table Mountain, they did not necessarily leave Cape Town, or they did not necessarily, but the way my mom was always a person that would take us out, take us to places.
You see, there's a bigger world.
There's a bigger world out there, right? And I don't think my mom at the time even realized, even me at the time didn't realize that is how I saw through the window. That I saw that there's a better life type of thing. So I do think that in a family setup, there can be, like you say, negative mentorship. And if you think that there's negative mentorship, but there's nobody in my family that can even mentor me, it's fine, it's okay. We all have been there, it's fine. You look for
the window.
Look for the window.
You spoke about Moses and Joshua, and in the New Testament, the two names that come up is Paul and young Timothy, and they also give a very good biblical perspective on mentorship, because the two of them, they walked together everywhere they go. What will you say can the church learn from the biblical perspective of mentorship?
And with this preparation of this episode, I must say, Paul and Timothy, I read the letters from Paul to Timothy, and the second letter that Paul wrote is one of his last letters that he wrote before he was decapitated. You can literally see that love that he has for Timothy, and that urgency that he has to, what do I still need to tell Timothy before I die, right? The relationship between Paul and Timothy, it was, I think, over a period that they say about 20 years that Paul and Timothy has walked together, and it's so beautiful how they started as mentor and mentee. Where Paul mentored Timothy, but at the end of the story, or throughout the story, is where now Timothy see, okay, Paul see, Timothy, but you're now ready. I now give Ephesus to you. Please, you lead the church of Ephesus. And Timothy led the church of Ephesus, they say, until his death and martyr. He was also a martyr. And it's just that relationship between Paul and Timothy, the way Paul has guided Timothy. When the people came and people were come with their different views and they differ from what the Christ, the gospel type of thing. Paul was the one who was in Timothy's ears to say, okay, Timothy, no, you can't let this thing continue within the church. You have to speak on it. You have to talk about it. So Paul Timothy really walked close to Paul and learned from Paul. And when Paul saw Timothy was ready, he launched him. And that's another thing that what I think sometimes people are afraid for mentorship. And even when, and I'm talking about what I've heard, even as we were in students, pastors, right? And as student pastors, our lecturers, I don't know if you can recall their stories on how their mentors treated them. I remember, so those type of things. So sometimes you become a bit afraid to go into a mentorship relationship because you heard so many stories, because now the mentor uses you as this and uses you as that and uses you to do this and uses you to do that, which is also sometimes helping all things work together for your good type of situation. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to, desire a mentorship relationship with a person that is moving in the direction that you want to go to. So Timothy and Paul, beautiful.
Again, while you're talking, I'm just thinking, the whole time I'm thinking about, I see Paul as this church leader and he's launching Timothy to go and, there you go, run this church. But it's not just about running a church, right? Mentorship isn't just about launching someone to go and run a church. It's more than that.
Yes.
So what can the whole church, the body, the people, what can they learn of the biblical perspective of mentorship, discipleship?
I think what you can learn in terms of is to be discipled. So if we don't even say mentorship is even, and to not, especially let me say in terms of the church, I think we are lacking. Let me just say in terms of the church, maybe it's just, we are lacking in terms of even if a new believer comes, right? We leave that believer, find your feet. Find your feet here.
Go eat some grass there, little sheep.
Yeah, drink some milk, do some this. But I don't think we are intentional ensure to disciple people. I don't think we are intentional enough to ensure that a new believer that comes to Christ maybe don't understand the Bible. They maybe don't do this. Give resources to the person. This is what you can do. If you read, here's some commentaries that you can go look at for the Bible, because you might not understand the Bible. So I think as a community, as a church, we I think it can be on all of us to look out for each other in terms of discipleship.
Yeah. So another question for me today is ministry only limited for the church today, or what would you see?
Ministry, I think ministry is definitely not just for the church, right? Wherever there is a person who says that I believe in Christ, there is ministry. There you minister. So whether you never become a pastor in your life, but you are in the marketplace, you are, there is where you minister.
And there's so many people on Facebook Marketplace.
And I'm not talking about that marketplace. I'm talking about in the workplace, wherever you
Yes.
are, there, just for clarity. So, yes, so for me, in every sphere of life, the ministry should happen, because in every sphere of life there are people who say that we are believers and we believe in Jesus Christ. And I am not saying that you must go and preach in your workplace, gee, you must now believe
Repent.
in Jesus, repent. And no, that's not what we're saying. It's the way you live, it's the way you show up in the workplace. It's the you are the person that they can depend on. You are the person that, when you say something, then it's not a story afterwards that you said this and now
Yes.
it's this. So the way you show up in the place that you are can be a witness of this person
Yes.
is different than the rest type of situation. So ministry, every
Everywhere.
area in
So
life.
we have our young people. People just finish school, studying. They are working in coffee shops, doing part-time jobs. Maybe people actually studying to do what they want to do with their natural talents. So should they just follow their natural talents? But if nothing works out, it doesn't work out. How do they go about? Who do they follow? What do they do?
I would say definitely follow your natural talent, right? Because I think that, especially in the generation of today, we are, like you said earlier, that now 7-year-olds launch a platform,
Yes.
right? Now the 7-year-old grows up and thinks, but okay, now I got money from this and I got this and I've got influence from this. But was that really your true purpose in terms of what you should have done? So I would say, what is your natural talent? Still go to God and say, and still, even parents should cultivate the children's natural talents, because we're still going to need people in all areas of life. We're still going to need young people to go and study or go and do whatever. We don't know what the future will look like, taking into account AI, obviously. But let those natural talents still come forward, and rather let the children not be. We give children too soon, maybe these days, a platform to launch them, and let's focus on what is your natural talent. Where do you wanna? What is it that you really love doing, and still do that. It's okay to still do that, to pursue that. But as you pursue that, I would say pursue God as well. And as you pursue that, and you pursue God, ministry will come forth, right? Influence will come forth. You will impact people. They will. It's like because the closer you walk with God, no matter in which direction you go, there's always going to be, God is always going to use you. God is always going to use an opportunity. It might not be big. It might just be for one person.
This is a very difficult topic you're touching on now, because I know if you're going to talk to parents who sits with a grade 11 or matric learner that doesn't know what he or she wants to go do after school, but she loves painting, or he loves to play rugby, and so he doesn't want to go study, he's going to go play rugby. So, Dad, I'm good at rugby, I want to play rugby. And it's like, the obvious answer is, son, there isn't money in rugby, so you can't go and play rugby. You need to go study. Just go study anything, just so that you have a degree.
Backup plan.
Yeah, there's always that conversation. Like with everything, just go study something that you have. But that's not within the child, maybe. It's like he or she likes to cook. No, you're not going to become a chef. No. That's not a real job. You can do that at your home. cook for your family.
Yeah, that is true, right? That is true in terms of where. But I think there should be, and especially in the current world environment that we're living in, I think it's better that you as a parent, I think, can also do research. My child wants to do rugby or play rugby or paint or cook, whatever the situation is. And if the child don't want to get people who do you know that has gone in this route, or read up on things, sit with the child, and maybe it's not just a no. Like I said before, it's natural, the way what you do in the house, you mentoring your child, right? They look at you, what you do, how you do it. So that already is mentorship, mentoring your child without knowing or without giving a name to it, right? You're mentoring a child. But what I would say is that parents do have that challenge that the child don't always want to listen to them, right? And I think you have to be open enough. I have the mentors that I listen to are people that are not necessarily they're far, and I watch them online, I watch them on the TV, and there's one of this ladies who she said she has 3 boys that she raised, and she and her husband, and she started noticing that the boys don't listen to their voices anymore. And then what they did is they went out and they went and asked people that they see, okay, my child might listen to this person, and I would like my child to listen to this person, right? So they would go and then ask the person, would you speak to my boys? Would you speak to my boys? Other men, would you speak to my boys? And so I think parents can look at, okay, my child currently my voice doesn't go.
Yes.
But is there somebody else that you can see that your child will listen to that voice?
Yeah. So what should influence look like in general?
Influence to me, I think, should not necessarily be influences as on social media, right? But I think influence is where you are, like I said, if you follow your natural talent, and if you follow God closely while you're following your pursuing your dreams, right, and your desires, and if you follow God closely, you will become impactful and influential rather than an influencer. You understand? So I think try to become impactful and influential, and go into your trade so that you can make the best of your trade, dream the dreams, and desire the desires to be the best in whatever you want to pursue. But stay, the foundation should remain the same. Christ should be the foundation.
So, yeah, I think there's a lot more that we can say on mentorship and discipleship and our purpose and moving forward. But yeah, we don't want to keep the people busy for 2 hours. So if there's a last message on mentorship and discipleship, what would that be for you?
I would say that we should look in those areas and start looking at our babies feeding each other. Are we attentive to the young people around us? Are we open to come alongside them and to speak to them and to listen to them, even just be present with them? You don't even have to do much sometimes, just be present with them. So for me, the goal is that we raise a next generation that can last, longevity, not just launch, but that even when you launch, that you will last and that you can then give over the pattern to the generation that comes after you. And I think I am in that age where this is becoming important for me, that to look at the next generation. Are we really doing what we need to do to ensure that our next generation is equipped to take on life? Because life can, to just take on life. And for me, the very thing that helps you in life, because a lot of things are gonna happen in life. You cannot run from it. Things are gonna happen to you that you thought, why in the world, how and what. I remember when I became an adult, I went to, I think I told my mom, I don't want to be an adult anymore, right? Because things are just happening. But are you equipped? So dream boldly. Do the things. Go for success, but stay grounded and connected to the God that has given that ability to you. Stay connected to Christ. Build your life on Christ at all times.
Yes.
Until next time.
Yes, thank you very much. For me it would just be the two questions. Are you being mentored? And are you mentoring someone?
Yes.
Think about that for this week or until next time.
Until next time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining.